Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa mawalah amma ba'd. Students, in today's lecture, I'll talk about how to prepare yourself to apply for a job. Applying for a job is a first step in finding your dream job. You will never work in a job until you apply for the job, especially when we are talking about becoming an employee. Because becoming an employee is just one of the many ways of working in this world. Now, let's focus on becoming an employee in a company that begins with applying for the job. To apply for the job, it is very important that you prepare yourself to fulfill the requirements that the company set up. It will require most probably a particular degree. A company will require a sarjana degree in a particular field. For example, a school will require an SPD in English or in other subjects in which anyone who has no degree as required will not be eligible to apply for the job. In other contexts and situations, you have to check the requirements, especially the formal requirements, whether you have the necessary degree, whether you have the necessary certificate, whether you have the necessary reference or a particular experience. Say, for example, you will apply for a position of a teacher in a school. Please look at what certification you have to have. As I said, for example, you need a sarjana degree in English. You will also need to have a particular certification, for example, English language competence certificate, like TOEFL certificate or IELTS certificate. You will also be required to have some experience, and maybe you will also be required to submit portfolio. That is, portfolio is a record of your experience. After you have checked the requirements and you feel you are eligible, then you will prepare an application. Today, we are living in the era of AI and digital communication. Applying for jobs in the past were very different from today's job application. Now let's focus on the context of today's job application. You will typically need to have an account in order to access vacancies advertised by companies. I mentioned, for example, JobStreet or Gleans or LinkedIn or Locker ID, to name but a few. In order for you to be able to apply for jobs advertised in those platforms, you will need first to have an account. Once you set up an account, which mostly are free, you can prepare your documents, including what I have mentioned before, your copy of diploma and certificate, and also two things very important for job application. Those are letter of application and CV. Okay, now let me just talk about those two things. Letter of application. It's very important, everybody, when you prepare for a letter of application, that you write the letter of application in a proper way. That is a professional way. In the past, people uh, handwrite the application letter. Today, I think that convention is no longer um, a common practice. Today, you type your application letter, and that is very common. When you type the application letter, it's very important to check that you write the addressee of the application letter properly. Say, for example, the application letter is for an ABC company, then make sure that you write the addressee properly. I found many times when I check application letter from applicants, some applicants were carelessly sent application letter sent to a different company, but this application letter is sent to a wrong company. Maybe that the candidates have applied to a particular company but forgot to change the addressee, so that when the letter was sent to a company, it was not the right company. Of course, that is not very good, because it will send a negative message showing that you are not focused, yeah, that you are uh, not um, detailed, and showing that you don't pay attention carefully to detail of your application letter. The next thing in the application letter, it is very important to be concise. Don't write your application letter, write a piece like a piece of a story. You have to be straightforward. I am writing to you to write for the position. I am writing to you to apply for the position of blah blah blah, advertised in blah 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 platform, for example. Then you introduce yourself and also highlight your background and necessary achievement. And you write it in standard English. Make sure that you type it well. Avoid errors either in grammar, in vocabulary, or mechanics of the writing. And of course, you will need to package the letter of application in a good package. What I mean by package here is it looks good and professional. About the CV, it is very important to have a good CV. A good CV is an honest CV. A CV will include your personal data, something like name and your address. Address is very important because your employer can check where you live to consider whether the position is relevant to you, whether the position is advantageous for you. Because if you live in the same city as the company, it may benefit you, because normally company likes to hire someone living in the same city, because uh, of course from the point of welfare, it is better to have staff living in the same city. However, it does not mean that candidates coming from a different city has no chance to get the job, but simply it is an advantage when you live in the same city as your company. It is very important to mention in your CV your experiences, past experiences, and what you did and what you have achieved. So, experiences in CV should be written factually, chronologically, and honestly. What company where you worked before, what you did, and what you achieved, and from what month to from what month of what year to what month of what year you serve in the company. It has to be clearly written down. It is very important also to mention something that adds the value of your quality in the CV. For example, additional skills and talents, and also your qualification, formal qualification, and also some certification, references, or awards if you have any. And that your CV will make a good CV. It is very important if you have many experiences to include in your CV experiences that are relevant to the job you apply. All right, everybody, we have been talking about applying for a job. Psychologically, employers are looking for candidates that may fit in the job. It is very important that your application letter and your CV and other documentation that you include in your application show the best quality of you. What I mean by the best is here is a reflection of the true you, because it does not uh, make sense and it is not going to be helpful if you, for example, polish your CV in a way that the CV looks so good, but it is actually not real. When you are interviewed, then that can be a negative point. So, in regard with applying for a job, it is very important for job seekers to prepare themselves in advance, long before they need the job. So it is important. Why it is important for you to have a plan? Because while you are waiting for the opportunity to come, you can add experiences, you can take courses, you can educate yourself so that you have the skills, the experience necessary for the job. And one more thing, companies also look for candidates that can work well, that is skillful, that can be trusted, and of course, that can get along well. That is having positive personality. By positive personality means your trustworthiness and friendliness, responsibility, and also in this modern life where communication can be very quick, is responsiveness. Oftentimes, I found candidates who are slow to respond. They were given uh, 2 times 24 hours to respond a message from a company they apply, and there's no response. That's not a good example. Once you apply for a job, you have to monitor the response from the company, and as the company respond to you, it is very important for you to quickly respond so that the communication can work well and the situation will benefit you, in which your application is accepted and you got invited for interviews, and I got invited to the next stages of the recruitment. To sum up, everybody, in preparing for your application letter, it is important for you to write the application letter in good English language, if it should be in English. If it is in other languages, of course, in that language, and attach the proper documentation and prepare yourself to follow up the correspondence with the company you are applying for and to get ready for the interview. I wish you good luck with your endeavor to apply for a job. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.